Give me the long shot. Let him see another alone tonight. One your man. Mash it up. Do the kind of way. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome, one and all to the land of PEP. I am joined tonight for this live by Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, Felicia Holder.
Good night, everybody.
Deputy Political Leader, Tony Defu.
Good night, Trinidad and Tobago.
Man in the mask. We really just dressed like this to make a point as to our new normal, as to what we have become and I want to say morphed into as a country. Somebody sent me today legal notice number 54, legal supplement part B, volume 59, number 33, 19 March 2020, 185. Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Public Health Ordinance, Chapter 12, number 4. Regulations made by the Minister under Section 105 of the Public Health Ordinance. The Public Health 2019 Novel Coronavirus 2019 NCOV Regulations 2020. These regulations may be cited as the Public Health 2019 Novel Coronavirus 2019 NCOV Regulations 2020. For the purposes of controlling and preventing the spread of the 2019 coronavirus, it shall be an offense during the period specified in Regulation 3 for any person A to conduct the business of a bar, whether or not the person is a licensed person under the Liquor Licenses Act. B, to operate a club as defined in Section 2 of the Registration of Clubs Act. Or C, to provide the amenity of seated dining at a restaurant to any customer. A person who contravenes sub-regulation 1 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to imprisonment for 6 months. These regulations come into force on the 21st of March 2020. I don't want to order. Trinidad and Tobago, it is now illegal to operate a bar. So let's put that in context of the mad panic that is our new normal post-Carnival Ash Wednesday 2020. Alright? Up until Ash Wednesday, it was nice. You like yourself, nothing no matter. Up until Ash Wednesday, we don't care anywhere. Jam on it, wine on it, climb up on top of it. They didn't care. But from the next day, we started to take coronavirus serious. Even though it's named COVID-19, which is COVID 2019. We've known about this virus since about August 2019. We've been anticipating, we've been talking. Wuhan happened. Italy had just about started to happen. We had started to get panic information about the first week in January 2020, if you remember.
Yeah.
We had a meeting because we were having our Juve ban. We had a meeting to cancel the Juve ban because of crowds and people and things. When the world had started to suggest that crowds might be a transmission, why didn't Trinidad and Tobago take that seriously? And does it matter? Is the government doing a good enough job managing the traveled narrative? That if you travel, you could get coronavirus. You ain't get it here. Because they're not testing anybody who didn't travel. So I think that's kind of setting themselves up to succeed. Because if you didn't travel, we're not testing you. Even though somebody from Bahamas apparently got it from being here in Carnival and a person in Canada and other people. So I want to know, are they doing a good job distancing themselves? Where are we as a nation? This conversation, where are we now in this new normal? Where are we?
We're in a total mess. A total mess. Because you just said it. We've been talking about this before Carnival. we were the first to jump up on in the public to say, cancel Carnival, push it back to a later date. You have August holidays. We could have considered, see what the outlook was between now and then, to possibly consider to relaunch the Carnival. It would have been a special year. We could have done so much. But no, we continued doing Carnival, and again, Progressive Empowerment Party was the ones saying.
But do you think Carnival has had an impact at all? Will we ever know?
Is there a way to know, seeing as we are only looking, like you said, at the imported cases, as in the people who would have...
So let's take up it. Let's take for granted that nobody got coronavirus because of Carnival. That everybody who was here was good and healthy, and there were no cases, and there was no transmission, and nobody contracted it. Let's assume that. We are where we are now, and we have, as of before this show started, 9 cases. That's the information I have. Now I get more information. I've demonstrated that we get information that forced the cabinet today to admit that they've been delaying the release of information artificially. And by us putting the information in the public space and then playing catch up, they started to look like they weren't really running the country. So today they admitted that they will start issuing it 10 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which they blame CAFA for, but that's a sop, that's a wash. Because your case, if it requires testing, CAFA shouldn't be opening 8 to 4 for a pandemic that has just cost Trinidad and Tobago $2.75 billion that we've put back into the economy in ways and means that we hope to find out what exactly that means. But it just cost us 2.75 million and it shut us down.
Yeah.
Our gross domestic product is about 20 billion US a year. And if you extract a month out of that, or a quarter, because we're taking a whole third of the year, this document that I just read, it comes into force on the 21st of March, but it expires on the 31st of July. So it's April, May, June, July. 4 months. You are bar owner.
That bars are not going to be open.
No bars, no seats in restaurants, nothing. It's against the law. All restaurant owners tonight have to be wondering how they're going to make it to August 1st. And that's not saying that we get to August 1st and they don't bring out a new supplemental.
Yeah. No, but I spoke to a restaurant owner 2 days ago who admitted that he had to send home 3/4 of his staff because, and this was before this information came out, because nobody is coming in his restaurant. He operates a restaurant / bar, and both of them have been impacted. So he said, he's basically trying to ride it out. And with this new information here, I'm wondering what that means to the remaining 25% of his staff, seeing as if you're not making any money. And these are precautions that we have to look at, but in essence, how are we going to...
I want to answer this, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask a question when we come back from the first break, because we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're calling Sean Sinarayan on the phone, deputy chair, and he is also a cruise industry professional. And we're gonna get some input from him on what that's doing to the cruise industry, because they ground to a halt as well. But we need to look at numbers. We need to look at the contracting the virus numbers, the incubation numbers, the infected numbers, the death from it numbers. But we also have to look at the economy numbers.
Yes.
Because right now, all of us could say, forget that, we had to deal with this, all of we together, we gonna fight COVID, no problem. But 8 weeks down the road, if your fridge empty and the grocery empty, and you can't feed hungry bellies in your house, your position gonna be different.
Right.
And I'm saying that we need to get Trinidadians accustomed to having the uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
You cannot just say that, in my view, in my respectful view, because we who consider ourselves civic leaders and thought leaders, we have a responsibility to not only engage people on what they want to talk about, we have to take them to what they should be talking about. This is what critical thinking is about. Critical thinking asks a question. You've agreed to underwrite the economy for a certain amount of time. But this is not Keith Rowley and Stuart Young and Coleman Burt taking it out of their pocket. This is the treasury of Trinidad and Tobago.
That's right.
Now, the treasury of Trinidad and Tobago is not a bucket of money. The treasury of Trinidad and Tobago is a cash flow. Income in, expenditure out. We've locked income in down, BP shut down.
Yeah.
But we still have expenditure out. We still have to keep the lights on. We had to pay all these workers. And we had to keep the country running. The police, the army, the fire services, the ODPM, the first responders, the ambulance, the healthcare workers, the hospitals. You understand what I'm telling you? All of these things are money. All of these things cost money. And prior to COVID-19, which is our whole conversation now, because like I keep using the analogy, you come home from the grocery, you have 4 bags of groceries in your hand, you want to make a cup of tea, but you have groceries stand back. Now, if you have nothing frozen or cold inside of there, you rest on the groceries, make your tea, relax, and then come to it. But then you come in the house and there's a rattlesnake and part of the house on fire. That's your new normal. You can't make your tea. You can't make your tea and say you'll deal with the rattlesnake after. You can't make your tea and say you'll out that fire after. So now, our normal, what is dominating our national conversation, all of our attention, is COVID-19 coronavirus. That's dominating our conversation. But prior to this, we had a budget. And that budget said with deficit financing still, that we've not come out of the 4 years of recession that we've been in. So that we have no money saves, we owe everybody, we have a $6 billion US in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund that is, I guess that's money for if you collapse and you have to start over. Keith Rowley said in their first press conference, he put the Heritage and Stabilization Fund on the table. He said, these are rainy days, no problem. I hear you, lightning, thunder, but we getting snow, we getting hail, all of that. $6 billion US will pay for 1.5 year of operating costs of Trinidad and Tobago. 1.5 year. So let's say we use up all our goodwill, we use up all our credit, and China can't rush to our defense right now because China have problems of their own right now. Everybody have problems of their own, right? I'm just saying these things because these are also important things in the conversation. If mommy and daddy drinking and spending all the money, you know at some point you need peanut butter and bread for school. I say, mommy, daddy, come now. We have a conversation time going to school hungry. We need Trinidadians, and I'm going to point it as many different versions of simple language to get people to understand. This is not sustainable. This model is not sustainable.
Agreed.
We go on time and time again. We're preaching how long now, Philip? You know, the Prime Minister himself said that we can't diversify the economy. That's how people are talking. But we have the blueprints to show the economy can be diversified if we were proactive and able to develop the nation in a way where we are self-sufficient, not having to actually depend on the outside world and what they have to offer. I mean, we have a large portion of what our consumables, how we have to live, have to be important in the country.
Your opposite deputy political leader, Limmer McCall-Wilkinson, said on the first day of the self-isolation and all that drama, she said, imagine if we had really taken seriously the goal to make Trinidad food self-sufficient.
But there's the point. That is a no-brainer. If anything in our economy, which should have been inserted for a level of diversification, was the agriculture sector, because it's so huge, it's so vast, there's so much downstream industry attached to it. You're talking about wanting to employ the population. That is a fine model
But
where you can
food
do that.
independence in times of crisis, and I said this 2 years ago.
I remember when he said it, and we spoke about it in terms of a world war breaking out. And I mean, nobody could have anticipated that this virus would have been the thing, but we're seeing it already where we limited any things that we are
Correct.
can import.
Correct.
China is not exporting certain things, and especially in the food area. I mean, we keep saying it, we need to be food independent. We need to be food independent. When I found out we were importing things like garlic, I can't believe that, because I mean, we have so much fertile land. When I heard us talking a week ago about importing yams, and now
Sickening, eh?
we're here a week later in this situation.
Oh my
And
God.
Sean was saying it earlier. We calling him now.
I'm gonna again ready to call him.
Sean was
Satish,
saying-
you let me know when you're ready.
Sean was saying earlier that, it's okay now that the warehouses have food and the groceries still have food, but
What happens if there's an
month.
interruption in the supply chain?
yeah, what happens then? I'm one down.
Because
the
this is
road.
not just Trinidad.
It's not.
and
It's the
we-
world. It's the entire
Exactly,
world.
but we live like the devil could take tomorrow, because we think, you know what, like Marie Antoinette, if we don't have bread, we go eat cake. If we can't find cake, we go eat bake, and we live like that. But all of our sources, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to run to.
Canada is talking about saving their funds for their people only, and I mean the regular people that we
Did you
usually turn
ever
to.
think that you would wake up to
I
find
did not.
Canada and America agreeing to close their border?
It's real, brother. It's real.
All the people who hated Trump for that wall, loving Trump because the whole of Mexico would have been
Yeah.
in Texas tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if Mexico can handle this, they come in America for America treatment. And you know what? We in a kind of a place. You ready to take us for ads? This is a live show. I guess you figured it out by now. But Satish is at the master control, making it possible. Thank you, Satish. So it's a PEP Media production. This is not just the normal live on an evening. When we come back from the short break, we will have Sean Sunine, Deputy Chair, on the phone. He's a cruise ship professional, and he'll be giving us his take on how this will impact us going forward when we come back.
Antel is Trinidad's most reliable and technically experienced ICT company, providers of quality structured cabling, Cat6 data fiber and power cables. We also stock cabling infrastructure basket-type cable trays for server rooms and data centers. Antel also installs and maintains video security systems including cameras, alarms and electronic entrance locks for businesses and residential properties. Call Antel 674-1406 or 783-9250.
Trinidad and Tobago is in a crisis. For far too long, our people have been abused and silenced by our politicians and the business elite.
Just look around you. People are losing their jobs. Crime is at an all-time high. Our justice, education, and health systems have failed.
We all know the truth behind all that is wrong in our country. Corruption is destroying us. Billions of our dollars are being looted by a small group of business people that use our politicians to divide and distract us.
So they can take what they want, leaving us with no hope for a better country.
All of this is because we've never had leaders who seek the interests of the citizenry as their first priority.
I am here because I'm not taking it anymore.
I am here because I am not taking it anymore.
I am fed up of politics as it is in Trinidad and Tobago.
It is time we elect leaders with the backbone and the love of our people to go after the corrupt, evil elements in our country hell-bent on serving their own pockets while we suffer.
And it is time that we as a nation take a collective stand against wrongdoing.
So we are making a plea to the nation to rally behind us.
Because our freedom of speech is being threatened by those who don't want us speaking out on these issues.
A man that I greatly respect is one of those leaders fighting for a better country. His name is Philip Edward Alexander, and he has bravely challenged the people and institutions that are destroying our nation.
To date, he has been threatened with 5 lawsuits for having the courage to ask state agency UDCOT on why the renovations of the President's house cost $89 million.
When experts in the field have estimated that that job should have never crossed 20 million.
Where did the rest of our money go? We refuse to stand by and allow any agency to use our courts to try and silence and punish Philip or any other citizen of our country for trying to seek the truth.
If you're fed up of corruption and want to be a part of real change, support Philip and the Progressive Empowerment Party in this fight.
This fight is not for him or us to bear alone.
It is a fight for you, our loved ones, and our friends.
It is a fight for the future of our country.
You can help by making a contribution to Philip's legal fees and help him and PEP expose the truth and shine light over the darkness of corruption.
Go to our website at peptt.com, click on donate, and see all the ways you can pitch in.
There is hope. Our country can be saved, but we all need to stand together. My name is Felicia Holder, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support.
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 I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
Right, so we're back inside. Any mistakes and errors, well, you know, chalk it up to us being amateurs and this being first version of this. Why your water looking like tea?
Mine?
No, yes. We have on the telephone with us Deputy Chair of the Progressive Empowerment Party and a cruise industry professional, Sean Sinarine. Sean, you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Good night. Good night to the panel.
Good night, Sean.
Night, Sean.
Sean.
Yes, sir.
Your industry taking a hit.
A really hard hit. One of the major problems is that the coronavirus, because it's so easily spread, ships make it the ideal stomping ground for it. And because of that, the entire cruise industry is slowly coming to a halt. I mean, it's bad enough now that as of this morning, there are roughly 10 cruise ships worldwide under quarantine.
So, with passengers on board?
Say again, sorry?
With passengers on board?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
I mean, it's been downplayed for the obvious reason. But that's one part of it. And then the cruise lines, all the cruise lines are slowly mothballing ships one by one. As of now, one of the cruise lines that I deal with have 3 ships, 3 of the bigger ships, mothballed in the Bahamas. That's after cancellations and restrictions to port access, stuff like that. So it's going to hit the industry really hard. And mind you, that's a $50 billion US a year industry.
Hold 1 second, Sean, sorry. Satish, yeah. I just got a notification from Hayden Phillips that my mic might be too loud and is distorted. So if you could, I don't know if you have a level to check. Right, so about that, Sean, I apologize.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, this thing is going to spread. It's going to get worse. And, coming out of it, little economies, small economies are going to get hit really hard. When you have places like Barbados, Antigua, St. Lucia, up and down the islands, the Eastern Caribbean islands, even places like St. Martin and stuff, when they start shutting down operations at their ports because cruise ships just aren't moving, it's going to hit the economies really, really hard. Trinidad, not so much because we don't depend on cruise ship tourism for survival, but those small islands are going to feel the impact, you know, on their bottom line in the few weeks or the next few weeks, couple of months coming up.
Well,
So, yeah.
I can't think of an industry that's going to escape this unscathed.
That's true.
I think
everybody's going to get hit. Everybody's going to take a really hard hit, but the cruise lines in particular are going to be the hardest hit, simply because they rely on tourism cruise tourism as their business, and because the industry, including the aviation industry, is slowly grinding to a halt, it's going to decimate us.
Well, I mean, no business is set up really to lose 100% of its income
Correct.
immediately and without a plan for the foreseeable future. Nobody bailing out cruise industries. They're going to think all the non-essential kind of thing. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, you see, but that's just part of it. The cruise industry is part of it, but then the spin-off industries from that, the people that supply the cruise industry, I mean, people wouldn't even think this far ahead, but for instance, the people that manufacture furniture, simple thing like furniture for the cruise lines, for the cruise ships, they're gonna get shut down. They're gonna go out of business. You know, in the cruise industry, those are people we call preferred suppliers. And when they get hit, it's gonna be a trickle-down effect to their employees, etc. Port workers, like right now, the Port of Miami, the cruise side, and Port Everglades as well. Further up the road, then you have the port in New Jersey. They're slowly grinding to a halt, and port management, as far as the cruise lines go, are sending home people because nothing is happening. So yeah, there's a spin-off effect from the cruise industry to the regular guy on the ground.
But, I mean, cruise ships pretty much invented just-in-time stocking.
Correct.
So that all along your cruise route, you have preferred suppliers for different things, yes?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
So, pulling that out, again, you're correct when you say that this is not a real thing for Trinidad. But to a lot of those islands, this is the equivalent of losing their Petrotrin.
Correct. That is very true. So even when you hear some islands will tell you, well, we only have 1 case, 2 cases, that kind of thing. Even St. Martin, which has just 1 or 2 cases, last time I checked, sometime today, you know, this COVID-19 thing hasn't hit them hard like that. But the economic fallout from it as far as business goes, through the cruise tourism industry that they rely on, you know, is going to have a huge impact on the economy.
And I don't want to stay on the doom and gloom, but I guess that's a good segue because the responsibility you have is a human resource responsibility, yes?
That's correct.
So you would have been charged with managing how people... I mean,
that's right.
You're not just cutting your workers loose. I mean, you have to have some kind of support mechanism. This is a big hit to an entire group of people. But
yes, sir.
So you would need to transition them down somehow.
Yeah, and you see, unfortunately, because of the way the cruise industry is set up, it's not like because you cruise out of Miami or out to the US, that all the workers on the ship, all the staff would be out of the States. You know, we have people from all over the world that work on cruise ships. I mean, on any particular cruise ship, you'd have as many as 20 nationalities working there. So what happens is that when you end up mothballing a ship, these people go home. The only thing we can do is pay them till the end of the contract. And to turn them loose. You know, there's nothing we can put in place per se for people spread throughout the world that work on cruise ships.
And not only are they, but I mean, like everybody else, they're coming off their principal employment.
Correct.
And they're going into quarantine.
Correct.
So
and that's exactly it.
There's a double psychological whammy.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So and when you're literally turning them loose and sending them, I mean, like, there are a fair amount of Italians that work on cruise ships, just like any other country. And when we shut down a ship and have to send these guys home, you're literally sending them back home, you know, to a place that's not safe. But that's unfortunately that's the reality of the situation.
Sean, I don't want to keep you too long. I want to ask you something. The average person, 14 days of self-isolation and quarantine. We don't have a state of emergency as yet, where it's going to be forced quarantine. Right now, it's self-isolation.
Yes, a voluntary thing.
Right. But should we end up on the other side of this 14 days? Because some people talking 21 days. I was listening to an interview on Al Jazeera or BBC, and they were talking about 12 weeks quarantine.
Yeah.
How do people survive 12 weeks isolation? We social animals that we are. How do people survive 28 days? How do people survive that? What do you anticipate in with your experience? What do you anticipate as symptoms and fallout from just the idea that we've taken away people's actualization and what make them feel important and special in the world, according to Maslow? Now they're all just literally consumers standing in a box, regardless of the size and or how opulent the box is. You still just, this is your day, this is your new normal, that you wake up and you pass the time.
Yeah, essentially in jail.
But I was thinking that was the analogy that we've jailed the
that's
world.
Exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. You know, regardless of how nice a cage, as you said, just or how opulent the cage is,
still a cage.
You're still in a cage. You know, and that's going to lead to the same thing that those guys would experience, which is a form of punishment. That's why they put you in jail. Jail is a form of punishment. Take away your freedom. You understand? And what happens there now is that depending on the type of family dynamic that you have, I mean, imagine this. You have people that would, you know, complain about, oh God, I have to see about these kids, they're home now, they're driving me crazy, I have to see about them 24/7. There's no break in between to say I have school, you know, for X amount of hours during the day. You get to see about them literally 24/7 now for how many weeks, how many days kind of thing. To add to that, you also have the problem, the additional problem of your food supply dwindling that you would have put aside. When with all this rush buying that we've had recently.
People will eat toilet paper.
Well, yeah, that's
because to belabor your analogy, not only are you prisoner, you are jailer too. You are responsible for the maintenance of the jail and the food supplies.
Correct. That is correct. You know, and what happens now when that food supply starts to run short? Because I mean, let's not you know, fool ourselves. All the food that we're utilizing now, all, you know, that you're buying in PriceSmart, you're buying from Massey, True Value, all those places, that stock coming out of what we currently have from, you know, Amco, Vemco, Hadco.
Same just in time. They're stock in the grocery, they're stock in the distributor's warehouse. They're supposed to be stock on the port.
Correct.
Stock on the ship, stock in the factory. That's the supply chain. Right? Is that at risk for being interrupted?
Of course it's going to be interrupted. And you see, the thing is, no matter how much money you pump into the economy, you could have, they could open up, I mean, playing devil's advocate here, they could open up that Heritage and Stabilization Fund and say, yes, we're going to dump $3 billion into the economy. You know, but you'll have all the money at your disposal to buy what? From who? For instance, right now, you cannot get bread in most of the states in the United States. You cannot walk into the supermarket and buy a loaf of bread. Last time I checked, we don't make flour in Trinidad. We import it. If they're having a shortage, they need to fulfill their shortage at home first before they start exporting out.
Do you think that the government, and Felicia and Tony, you could weigh in on this too, do you think that the government is just buying time, that we don't know what we're doing? We don't know. I mean, all right, I give them this, that this is unprecedented. I give them that. But if you were Prime Minister, and I really want to give them this advice, Sean, because, I mean, at the end of the day, we all on this collective ship together. And as we discussed before we called you, we can't leave. This happening to the whole world. So we need, we all have a vested interest in Trinidad surviving this, right? Why haven't they convened a meeting with the fishermen and the farmers to see what we could do while we have stock in the fridge, stock in the grocery, stock in the distributor warehouse? Before those things start to get impacted, why aren't we talking to the farmers and asking them, all right, what you could put in the ground now that we could harvest in 4 to 6 weeks? Tomatoes, what we could eat.
And I'm glad you said that, because when the Prime Minister mentioned that he was going to call together a group of stakeholders in the community, he called everybody but the people that we really need in a time like this, which is the farmers.
And I telling the farmers now, listen to me. Plant food. Plant as much food as you could. Plant food everywhere. Plant food on top of your house. You are going to own this economy. Farmers, food is going to be gold. Food is going to be oil. Plant whatever you could grow that we could reap in 4 weeks, 6 weeks. If you rear 1,000 chickens and you could rear 2,000, get them going. And if they could be ready, and Sean, I mean, that's what we ought to be doing. Food is critical now, yes?
Yeah.
You see, unfortunately, we've always been a reactive society. And, I mean, that by extension comes from the government. We've always been reactive and not, proactive. So we deal with that. In my opinion, their thinking is we'll deal with that when that time reach. If we're proactive about this whole situation, from January, we should have been putting things in place to mitigate what's coming up.
That's the literal law of the farm. The literal law of the farm is you can't cram it, you can't fold it in, you can't wait till last minute. The law of the farm is this has to take some time.
Yeah. In Trinidad are going to wake up, Philip. And this is my personal take on it. When you're walking to a KFC outlet, because everything in Trinidad is KFC based, right? I mean, that's how they I'm being a little bit facetious here, but this is how it goes. Trainees are going to wake up when they walk into a KFC and they tell you, we only have slow. There are no chicken.
Right.
That's when it's going to
I went to the bank today, and the bank has people inside the bank, but they only taking in 10 at a time. So the rest of us have to crowd and line up outside.
Yep.
And I asked to all who was listening, this crowd is because of the bank. If you're not managing us inside the bank and we're outside here in a crowd outside the bank, what's the difference? What have you solved?
Yeah. I experienced. Yeah, I experienced that today, and I mean it's almost hilarious because offshoot on that is that they've been saying that they want groups of more than 10 people gathering, in close proximity to each other. They want to enforce no loitering.
Well, we have a public health. We have a health professional. We're going to be calling in a little while, and I want to find out what's the difference between 10 and 25.
Right. And how does that translate?
How does that lower the chances? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand
because
that.
All you need is one. All you need is one.
One other person. You and somebody else. That's it.
Correct. No, they're pushing this thing outside, and I've been looking at this and wondering again from the psychological perspective, right? You're doing this outside, Yet you go into a bank, and that's like today. Today I walked into a bank, and I'm counting in one department 30 people sitting down within 2 feet of each other.
In an
spread out in an area.
in an air-conditioned environment.
In a centrally air-conditioned environment.
Okay, but we say it again, and we acknowledging that this is unprecedented, yes?
Right.
But heavy the head that wears the crown. You have a responsibility to know better and to do better and to lead. We can't just abdicate this to, well, we never dealt with this before. We've had experiences, and we must have modeled the government, the Ministry of National Security, the Organization of Disaster Preparedness and Management, even the National Operations Center. We must have modeled catastrophes. We must have modeled earthquakes, hurricanes. We have to model stuff.
Yeah.
Because if a hurricane or if an earthquake decimated the country, you would still have to manage your human capital, and you would have to manage them from a capacity that they have to eat and they have to live, and you have to get this country back to functional at some point. Those are all leadership models.
Correct.
Correct.
You're absolutely correct.
Or could it be that because God is a Trini and we've never had any real natural disaster or any financial disaster, I would say, because I mean what the world would have experienced, what the United States would have experienced in terms of their crash. I don't think we ever had things that bad here. Even our coup, it still wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
So maybe with all our lack of preparedness, we're not really prepared for something like this.
You see, you're talking about running a country, and I want to tell you, the God is a Trinity thing could only be used so many times before it gets overdone, and
it's long overdone.
And leadership is knowing what has to be done in each crisis.
Yeah.
That's what you're voting them into office for. The Minister of Health's job is to manage the healthcare capacity of the country in anticipation of a crisis. We've had bird flu, swine flu, SARS, H1N1. There's been a steady escalation. The Ministry of Health should have modeled and prepared for crises like this. Now I'm saying again, especially to the people who are watching, who are quick to rush to defense of the government, understand this. Using other people's failure as our benchmark does nothing for you. You live in this country too. You should want better from your government. There are countries, when we look back at this, when the story of COVID-19 is written, there are going to be success stories. There are going to be countries that manage this better than others.
Singapore is in a great job right now.
Singapore is always that model.
The thing is, we could have been one of those countries. We could have been one of those countries. And the question is yes, we're talking and going through all of this. But what is actually being done to safeguard us? Because we are in a position to wake up tomorrow morning and this has spiraled totally out of control, and the state is not in a position to actually help the population.
And for me, that is my biggest problem with everything that is happening. Because yes, this is unprecedented, but literally a week ago, we considered this mild, and I mean carnival happened and we wine and we jam. So listen to the Prime Minister's address and listen to him say we are now in a crisis and an emergency situation. I was honestly angry because I felt like we didn't have to be here. We didn't. Literally, there were warning signs, bells were being rung, we were seeing what was happening in China, we were seeing what was happening in Italy. And still, we continue. This is mild. This is nothing. We're prepared. We're ready. We have this. We have that. And then now we're here in this situation. And the last thing you want to hear is we're in a crisis.
Nobody was sarcastic, and they minimized it, and they politicized it, and they pretended like.
Yeah, we were so prepared.
We were
so prepared that we could have sent back 35,000 masks.
Listen. I had to preface a post once. I am not saying the sky is falling, but this is coming. And I remember saying that this is coming.
Yep.
And I said, best case scenario, it misses, we dodge a bullet. Worst case scenario, look where we are tonight. Self-isolated. Sean, I want to tell you thanks. I don't know if you have any closing comments. Tony, I don't know if you have any you want to ask Sean before
No,
you
Sean, actually, I wanted you to talk about what you... Yeah, don't scratch your face.
I'm scratching my knuckles. I don't know.
I actually wanted you to... That situation that you mentioned with... I mean, maybe we had enough doom and gloom talk for the night, but that situation that you mentioned with your sister was very concerning for me. I mean, particularly because she lives in a first world country.
Yeah. They live in Virginia, Chesapeake, and I mean they're fairly well off, and they stocked up like everybody else. They panic bought as much as they could have bought, put down, that kind of thing. And now the food is literally running out a month later. And this morning they had last night dinner was, what was it, rice and butter, and this morning it was hot dog sausages minus the bread and slices of a couple of apples that they had, and they're running out of food supplies. And what's happening is that she's saying the shelves at places like Costco, BJ's, all the other wholesale suppliers look the same way, like pictures of shelves are seen in Venezuela. And this is in the US, a place that manufactures, for want of a better word, a place that manufactures their own food. The shortages are that bad.
I wanted you to mention it because, I mean, it's very real, and again,
Chinese don't. We don't have a good track record.
Yeah.
They were saying in Trinidad, when your neighbor house on fire, wet yours, that we need it as a saying. Shows how dokey we are. That it's so counterintuitive and common sense that it should not require saying it. If your neighbor house on fire, wet yours. We have it as a saying because we don't teach people that. Chinese don't learn. We hadn't. Somebody just posed. You were all on your own when you were raiding the treasury. Now it's dark days. We all in this together. All of a sudden we in this together.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we together. Yeah. Anyway, Sean, thanks a lot, brother.
No problem. Take care. Good night.
All right, man.
That was Sean Sunarine, deputy chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party. Yes, this is a very big organization. There are people in multiples of positions. And talking to Sean about the food industry and the supply chain, I was speaking to somebody today who is an importer, and he I can't give his name, for obvious reasons, but he is joining us on the phone to specifically talk about the impact, the anticipated impact on the supply chain, the anticipated impact of the government freeing up foreign exchange. Good night, my friend. Are you hearing me?
Yes, Philip.
Right. So today you and I were talking. I don't know if you're following the show. I just had Sean Sunarine. He's a cruise industry professional. He was talking about interruptions in the supply chain. We're talking about people. We have food in the house, food in the grocery, food in the supplier's warehouse, food on the port, food on the ship, food in the factory. You are one of the people who food in your warehouse. What's it looking like? What do you anticipate? What do you have? What do you think coming down the line here?
Well, we have supplies to short-term demand, but that being said, the demand has increased significantly within the past couple of days. There are certain sectors that are going to fall off, such as the restaurant sector, because people aren't dining. But going forward, accessing more supplies is going to be a problem. The main reason for that is globally there will be shortages. If you've been following what's going on in the news in London, I have friends in London, there's no food on the shelves.
London?
Yeah, there's no food on the shelves. A lot of trainees are trying to come home because they just can't get food. They want to ride it out, but they're trying to come home. I spoke to some friends today.
But what you would say? What you would say we have? Months?
I would say 6 weeks.
But with the shutdown of the restaurant industry, would that add food back to the food stock?
It would, but remember the restaurants are still serving.
But
a lot
not-
of places you can still buy takeout,
But not to capacity.
but not to capacity.
I
It may extend it 2 weeks, but beyond that is the problem.
I just want to let you
we
know,
are Ireland.
I just want to let you know before I ask you another question. I have Felicia Holder, she's the chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and Anthony, the full deputy political leader. So they're in here, and I guess you all will ask questions if you all want, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you this, right? The foreign exchange, because I'd asked you this earlier, the freeing up of the foreign exchange, that should help you with your imports to take us beyond that 6 weeks?
Well, we welcome the initiative by the government where they say that food and pharmaceuticals are going to get priority, right, for the US dollars. However, we have painted ourselves into a corner where we have bad credit. Collectively as a country, we have bad credit.
Because of the inability to get foreign exchange.
Yes, this has been an ongoing challenge, and even if we can access US dollars tomorrow and pay some of our creditors, we would not be the first people to get what is on the global shelf. Do you understand what I'm talking
Absolutely, I
about?
understand the analogy.
Right? If there's food on the global shelf, they would want to give the good paying customers, not the bad paying customers, which Trinidad and Tobago is now a bad paying customer.
But everybody now in the same boat, though. I mean, I want to say that.
Yeah.
Globally, we're all in the same boat now.
Exactly, we are all on the same boat, but we, Trinidad and Tobago, we have developed a history of being a bad pay customer. We are being reported to the insurance companies globally for slow payments and non-payment.
And all of this is as a direct result of the foreign exchange
situation. Now, the other thing is, even though they said that they are going to prioritize US dollars for the importation of food and pharmaceuticals, in reality, there's no real framework for the central bank to know what the commercial banks are doing. Because the central bank gives money to the commercial bank. The commercial banks allocate US dollars based on their biggest clientele.
But this is not a normal situation. Why they're not dealing with food importers and pharmaceutical importers direct from central bank? We were working direct from central bank when we were dealing with Blue Note polymer.
It's just not how the framework is. The central bank gives allocations to the commercial
Yeah, but
bank.
there was a time, I don't know if you remember the ECO time when you had to get an ECO form that approves you for US. We can't put some system in place to make sure that the food importers actually get it, and we don't waste the foreign exchange on things that can't help us through this crisis.
Luxury goods, exactly. You know, there's no one went to buy a luxury car to take more boat. You know, what is important is now food and pharmaceuticals, and they're now realizing that. It took a global crisis for them to realize the only thing that people need right now is food and pharmaceuticals. So we are still waiting to see what is the framework that they're going to put in place to make sure that the US dollars that they put into the system goes to what the necessities of life as we need it right now. You know, that this money isn't going to paper furniture or luxury cars or
TVs and stereos and more cell phones. We don't need none of those things right now.
in Miami, you know.
Apartments in Miami, we don't need none of that. Right now, all our foreign exchange has to be focused. You're correct. 6 weeks, though, is good cover, eh?
It is. But, as I said, there's food on the global shelf. Everybody's buying up what's on the global shelf. Think of your supermarket. Everybody's buying up. I've been to the supermarket yesterday. There was no poultry on the shelf. It may have been a temporary thing, but there was no poultry on the shelf.
I experienced that as well.
Globally, what food is on the shelf
So when they say that they're making foreign exchange available to the importers, they have to treat this as a matter of urgency.
As a matter of urgency.
We have
the faster we can secure further supplies, is the faster that we can assist. But as you said, we want to be self-sufficient. We want our own agricultural sector and our own meats and proteins and that type of thing. But the reality on the ground is
we're nowhere near there. So okay, but we have food in the warehouse. Do we have food on the port and food on the ships?
Yes.
Did you count that in your 6 weeks?
Yes. Yes. But
So
at the rate people are going into the Price Mart and the Massey and these places that we distribute to, at the rate people are going in there,
yeah, but the supermarkets also have a responsibility to put some kind of controls in place. I mean, the citizens can't be so foolish that they create problems beyond what we already have. 6 weeks food cover is excellent. And I want to say that right now, I don't want to even talk about the fact that we've ignored the critical issue of food self-sufficiency. We'll deal with that after this crisis is behind us. 6 weeks is good. The government did the right thing by making foreign exchange available to the food importers. We just need to make sure that the system is in place for that to actually happen. Because
they need a framework to ensure that the money goes to food and pharmaceuticals.
So we
leave it up to the commercial banks, they will give their biggest customers.
But we don't. I don't want to be calling names and putting people on the spot. But the fast food franchises and their imports right now, that shouldn't take precedent over home consumption, food and pharmaceuticals.
Well, at the end of the day, food is food, Philip. So not everyone cooks at home, So
To be honest, that's me. I really and truly. So I shouldn't say that.
Exactly. So if you can't go out there and buy a meal, you might starve. So not everyone cooks at home, and we have to. It's a fact.
So gotta work with that. So I understand what you're saying, and that because somebody messaged me that now. So the foreign supplies of coffee and all of that, that still is part of food. Yeah.
I guess so. Yes. Yes. It's a luxury food item, but it still falls under food and beverage.
But you're saying that the world doesn't have a food shortage, so as long as we have the money to buy food, we're okay.
I'm not in a position to comment on the world supply of food.
Alright, let me phrase it differently.
Because, as I said, right now as we speak, the oceanic regions, it's trading time and food is selling. Food is selling. And I'm sure the demand has increased because of this COVID situation.
You as a food industry professional, are you reaching out to local producers, local farmers, regional, to try and fill the gaps?
They are not ready. They have not. We have not been ready. We have tried to establish relationships with local producers. Even let's say down to agriculture. Philip, we are an island and we are subject to ad hoc weather patterns. We can try a growing season, but it's unpredictable. We can get rain at any point in time. We can get rain. Even in this dry season, we had rain. If there's one thing professional farmers will tell you is plants need water. They don't need rain. Rain ruins crops. We're an island. We have no control over it.
But globally,
sustainable agriculture, that is one of the...
That's what I was going to mention to you, that there is commercial farming taking place now that could deal with, I mean, they accelerate 2-3 days into 24 hour. They control light, they control water, they control fertilizer. So, I mean, if we were serious about it, we could get into it.
And if we had a hurricane blow over, that's it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you call any catastrophe on any country, I mean, we're outside the hurricane belt. The chances of us getting a hurricane is slim to none.
Flooding falls under that as well.
Natural disasters.
I understand. It ruins the entire crop. We must always supplement. If we supplement it from the U.S., here's what. The U.S. is such a big country that 2 states might be ruined, but you have 48 other states that are producing, which can supply.
Pick up the slack.
Pick up the slack, that's right. Being an island, hey, it's difficult. We have to proceed in that direction because we want to be self-sufficient. But we must always bear in mind that, hey, we can continue to try. We will never get it 100% right. We'll always have to supplement whatever we produce because we're an island. We have to be, and then the economy to scale. Out there are farms that are probably half the size of Trinidad to one farm.
I know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So economies of scale, hey.
Yeah, I know that. I just, my worry has always been times like this, when food supply could be threatened. That's all.
Yeah. And you're right. We must have, and we do have a good poultry industry. They can't supply the entire country, but we have a poultry industry. We have some good industries going. But we always must be in a position where we must be able to procure, to supplement, to feed our nation, the entire nation.
So, from where you are, because I will check back with you in a couple of weeks. We're waiting out this first 14 days. Yeah? And see where we go from there. So I'll be checking up with you and all of the listeners who they'll be looking forward to your follow-up in a couple of weeks. Tony, Felicia, you all have anything to ask? Yeah. Anything that you want? Is there anything you'd like to close with?
No. Feel free to reach out anytime and keep fighting the fight. Keep the public informed.
Much appreciated. Thank you, brother. Food is important, water is important, safety, security, home, taking care of the children home. Why are we not talking about homeschooling or what's happening? Did the Ministry of Education take the curriculum online? Are they available on EVM Channel 4, CNMG? Is it available digitally? Anything you want to know?
Very good.
Anything?
There's nothing
at all? Nothing yet?
Nothing yet.
But we know that we have to do these things, and maybe 2024... and I'm being facetious, and I'm being cynical and sarcastic and ridiculous, because it's the government's responsibility to have been preparing for this. We said, as far back as 2017, that we know the future of education is digital. We should be online by now. We're going to take another short break here. When we come back, we're going to be calling a couple other people to get involved, and we're going to also be taking your calls. When we come back, if you want to have your say, 682-2110, call in and contribute. We'll be right back. Public health in Trinidad and Tobago is a catastrophe. It is a fiasco. It is the 6th and 7th circles of hell. Some people say public health in Trinidad is sickening. The Prime Minister agrees. Judging by his latest decision, 4.5 years later, as Prime Minister, the man who spent upwards of $25 billion on public health in this country has chosen once again to seek his own health care in other jurisdictions. Public health in Trinidad and Tobago has never worked to the benefit of the public under no government at no time. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, are spending money we do not have, building hospitals we do not need, in a public health system that does not work. The Progressive Empowerment Party suggests that in place of the fiasco that exists as our public health system, that we replace it all with 41 public health centers, one for each constituency, operated 24/7, managed by nurse practitioners with on-call doctors capable of treating dental, optical, and medical emergencies, to function as 41 emergency rooms in this country, equipped even for minor stabilization surgeries, and with dedicated ambulance service. This would function far better than the chaos of the centralized public health system that does not work. How it should work, how it works in foreign jurisdictions. A call to a call center should be answered by a trained operator who knows how to ask proper questions so as to guide paramedics listening in on the line as to what your condition might be so that they can prepare to treat with you when they arrive. The call to that call center that identifies your location plugs in GPS coordinates that guides the ambulance directly to you so they don't have to call asking for further directions looking for landmarks. A call to a call center that guides the ambulance to your house in under 10 minutes, the magic time that science suggests required to save patients in emergencies such as heart attack, stroke, and other massive failure. The paramedic operated ambulance is stocked and equipped with everything to treat with just about every emergency. But in specialized cases, there are special kits that they could add in quick time. And that is why the questions that a trained operator asking would advise them and guide them so that when they come to you, your treatment begins during transportation. The paramedics then take full responsibility for you and initiate conversation with the closest emergency room where they're taking you. The doctor on call or the person in charge would then exchange information with the paramedics so as to further guide the treatment that is being done while you're being transported to the emergency room, and the emergency room would be preparing to receive you. Arriving at the hospital, the paramedics are greeted by the emergency room team who takes full control of you, guides you into the treatment room, puts you onto a bed, releases the stretcher, and releases the paramedics and the ambulance. In a first world country, at that point, the emergency room staff are responsible for you, and they treat and discharge you, or they treat and admit you to hospital for further treatment. If at any point along the way, the worst should occur and you expire, there are morbidity and mortality conferences that you can request beyond an autopsy if suspicion exists that someone along the way was remiss in their responsibility or negligent. And everyone in that chain, from the operator at the call center to the ambulance driver, the paramedic, the emergency room team, and any doctors and nurses treating with you after, are aware that there are serious consequences for malpractice, including charges of depraved indifference to human life. This is the level of public health we are entitled to in this country. We spend $5 billion a year for our public health and get this fiasco in exchange. Isn't it time we did better? The Progressive Empowerment Party says so, and says that there are people in the world that we could hire and empower and employ to provide proper, adequate, professional, first world public health in Trinidad and Tobago, as described before. We can have a better country. We can have proper health care. It's a matter of voting. It's a matter of choice. What we do next is important. I am Philip Edward Alexander, and this has been a little more than 3 minutes to a better Trinidad and Tobago.
Trinidad and Tobago is in a crisis. For far too long, our people have been abused and silenced by our politicians and the business elite.
Just look around you. People are losing their jobs. Crime is at an all-time high. Our justice, education, and health systems have failed.
We all know the truth behind all that is wrong in our country. Corruption is destroying us. Billions of our dollars are being looted by a small group of business people that use our politicians to divide and distract us,
so they can take what they want, leaving us with no hope for a better country.
All of this is because we've never had leaders who seek the interests of the citizenry as their first priority.
I am here because I'm not taking it anymore.
I am here because I am not taking it anymore.
I am fed up of politics as it is in Trinidad and Tobago.
It is time we elect leaders with the backbone and the love of our people to go after the corrupt, evil elements in our country, hell-bent on serving their own pockets while we suffer.
And it is time that we as a nation take a collective stand against wrongdoing.
So we are making a plea to the nation to rally behind us.
Because our freedom of speech is being threatened by those who don't want us speaking out on these issues.
A man that I greatly respect is one of those leaders fighting for a better country. His name is Philip Edward Alexander, and he has bravely challenged the people and institutions that are destroying our nation.
To date, he has been threatened with 5 lawsuits for having the courage to ask state agency UDCOT on why the renovations of the President's house cost $89 million.
When experts in the field have estimated that that job should have never crossed 20 million.
Where did the rest of our money go? We refuse to stand by and allow any agency to use our courts to try and silence and punish Philip or any other citizen of our country for trying to seek the truth.
If you're fed up of corruption and want to be a part of real change, support Philip and the Progressive Empowerment Party in this fight.
This fight is not for him or us to bear alone.
It is a fight for you, our loved ones, and our friends.
It is a fight for the future of our country.
You can help by making a contribution to Philip's legal fees and help him and PEP expose the truth and shine light over the darkness of corruption.
Go to our website at peptt.com, click on donate and see all the ways you can pitch in.
There is hope. Our country can be saved, but we all need to stand together. My name is Felicia Holder, Chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party, and I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
I support.
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 I support Philip Edward Alexander and the PEP.
Right, so we are back. I am still here with Felicia Holder, Chairman, and Anthony Defoe. They're going to be joining me in interviewing a naturopathic Dr. Philip Franco. He is the he has his own story to tell. Good evening, Philip.
Hello, Philip.
How are you going, Philip?
Philip to Philip.
Hello, Tony. Hello, Felicia.
Hi.
Thanks a lot for taking the call, Philip. I know you have long days and this is late, and I apologize. For the people listening who would want to know, you're a naturopathic doctor. Explain what that is, please.
Right, so first and foremost, I'm a medical herbalist. I'm my first training. And then after that, I studied other modalities in natural medicine. So I was able to become a naturopathic doctor.
Well, that's excellent. So, according to Google, naturopathic medicine is a system that uses natural remedies to help the body heal itself. That's correct?
Correct.
Now you are somebody I have known for a long time. So I know that you own your own business. What is the name of this place?
Natural Balance.
Natural Balance. And I've been to Natural Balance, and you really have a nice setup going there. And so for the people who are looking for guidance and advice away from toxic pharmacology, Philip Franco is a good person to talk to, and I've given him that recommendation. Philip, I am calling you, and Felicia and Tony are going to have their questions too, but I'm calling you and I have one question for you. The COVID-19 coronavirus, is there anything that people should be taking to augment their system and protect themselves from contracting or getting infected?
Well, of course. So there are many things. In the first instance, it would be nice if everybody was healthy and doing the right things and eating right and having good lifestyles and so forth to promote health. So if you promote health, then all the systems will be healthy, your digestive system, your nervous system, your immune system and so forth. But in light of what has just happened here to us, we've been caught on the spot. So we need to make some changes now, and there are some things you can do to promote a healthy immune system. People don't realize that part of your immune system is your skin, right? Now that virus is not coming through our outer skin, but it comes into our nasal passages, right? Our respiratory tract. And we have something called mucous membranes that make mucus and make a wet, make the lining of that skin from your nose going all the way down into your lungs, makes that a wet surface. And that wet surface, the thing you remember in biology, is to trap the particulates, the toxins, any dust, any smog, any smoke, and any pathogens, any bacteria, fungi, anything that would be in the air. And it's supposed to trap it there. When these things are trapped, they accumulate. Now we don't tend to wash our noses out, and we take modern day showers. Modern day showers don't go up our noses. Only when we go by the beach and we jump in the river, our nose will get a wash out. So we need to actually clean our nostrils on a daily basis, even before this COVID situation, to keep it clean so that the cells inside of there would be in a clean environment, so that you only go into bed at night with all the smog and the particulates that you have accumulated stick up in your nose all night, 2-3 days, until you're driving in your car wherever you are, and you're doing a nose pick and you put out some boo-boo. You're supposed to be washing that on a daily basis. I'm recommending now people start washing their nose. You wash your hands when you come in, and you wash out your nose. Keep it clean.
How do you wash your nose? I've never been taught to wash my nose, and I want to say, Tony, Franco will be watching you when you're driving. Anyway, tell us how you wash your nose.
Well, there's a method that the Indians use, which they use something called a neti pot, and it's just like a little teacup, just designed to go into one nostril, and you fill it with water. Some people put some salt in it, and the salt is good because the salt is antibacterial and so forth. And you put it into one nostril and you tilt your head, and the water flows up into your nasal cavity and runs out the other side. So that's one way to do it, and then you put it in the other side and you flush it the other way. That's one way to do it. I don't do it like that. I basically, while I'm showering every day, twice a day, I cup my hands like if I'm going to drink water. When you go to drink water in school, and I cup my hands a little higher, and the shower fills up my hands, and water comes higher than my opening for my nose, and I inhale very gently, and I take the water up into my nasal cavity. And I've been doing it for about 22 years, and I take it all the way back, and I touch my throat, and then I bring it out. Do it 2-3 times and flush out everything. I do that twice a day.
Well, let me tell you, you live and you learn. I never knew, and I want to tell you, if the whole purpose of this conversation, because I know that your nasal passage is a pathway for pathogens, and if I swear to you, I appreciate, Tony, how you feel to know that you could wash your nose?
Well, it's very interesting to know, actually.
You ever knew this before?
Well, I mean, when I'm taking a shower, I would like stick my fingers up there, like, while it's moist and stuff. I would, and even after I take the shower,
you just wash your nose?
I never wash my nose. I know what the neti pot do.
Let's do a survey. Who washes their nose?
I'm gonna ask that on Facebook tonight.
But I have a question, Philip. My question to you is, as a alternative to using a neti pot or drowning yourself, because I'm telling you, if I were to use that shower method that you described, I will definitely drown. Imagine you call it lifeguard because you drown in the shower. Anyway, can sea water and a sea bath be an alternative?
Of course, but you know how often one gets there, you know?
might inhale a
So
fish.
this is something you really want to do every day.
I might inhale a fish.
It's something that you should do what every day?
Every day, yes. Just like how you clean your arms and everywhere else, you know? When you go in the shower, you need to clean it every day. And I tell you, I used to suffer with hay fever and sinus as a young man and a little boy. I was so uncomfortable, and I'm so glad that somebody teach me to do this. And now my nose is clear 24/7, 365 days a year. You know? And if I get a little something come in my nose, I will have a sneeze, get it out, or it will trap it, they will deal with it. Right? It needs to be clean. The other thing is that the mucous membranes there need to be making mucus. A lot of people's zones are dry. They're unhealthy because you have this accumulation sitting there of toxic stuff. So they have unhealthy mucous membranes. Right? And then they think it's what allergy is because you sniff a little dust and you get into a whole sneezing fit for 24 hours. And
Listener, you have me so excited to go and wash my nose, eh? No. I'm saying, I just asked Facebook. Do you know that you can wash inside your nose? Satish, nod. Yes or no? Did you know that you can wash inside? Nobody, and watch me. Satish's wife is a medical doctor. We are going to advocate from today. Because I asked Mr. Franco, who is a naturopathic doctor, for recommendations to help protect us against COVID-19. And one of the first suggestions he suggested is keep inside your nose clean. And I swear to you, I did not know that we could do that. Yeah. What else, Philip? What else? And I'm very intrigued now to learn more.
Right. So now, for people who have depleted mucous membranes, that lining there, the cells are not making adequate mucus, we have something called mucous membrane tonics. So the beauty about herbal medicine and natural medicine is that we have things that can restore the integrity of cells, of tissues, and of organs. Unlike pharmaceutical medicine. In pharmaceutical medicine, there is not one pharmaceutical product that has any healing potential. I'll say that again. There's not one pharmaceutical product that has any healing potential. Every pharmaceutical product either stimulates something or depresses something. Right? That's how it works. Right? None of them fix anything. For instance, you have things called chronic diseases, like diabetes and hypertension. But people think, because of how they're being treated, that chronic diseases cannot be cured. But this is a fallacy, right? You have acute diseases, and what acute diseases mean of a short span, right? A few days or a couple of weeks. A chronic disease is of a long duration, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and so forth. It doesn't mean that they are incurable. But because the pharmaceutical industry and because of the whole sick care system that we have before us and that we pay taxes for, right? Because of their inability to deal properly with chronic diseases, they have left it for everybody to think that chronic diseases means that they are incurable and you have to take the drug for the rest of your life until you die, right?
So they're mostly interested in selling you a maintenance regime.
And they sell you a maintenance regime, right? Because they do not know how to fix it. They do not have the medicine for it. Pharmaceutical medicines have no healing potential, right? And the doctors are not trained to do that. And medical doctors don't even get one semester of a nutrition course.
No, I hear you, and I don't want to bad talk doctors, but I find a lot of it now.
I'm not bad talking.
No, I'm just saying a lot of it.
I'm talking about the cost that they attend
I agree
to
with
become
you.
a doctor.
I find a lot of it comes down to the prescription pad, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't bad talk no doctors there.
No, I didn't say that you did. I said I don't want to.
They're not doing that.
Yeah. But tell me something. Your lungs.
Your lungs.
What? Because this is a respiratory disease.
So the COVID virus, right? or any other virus, it comes into your airways, right? It could probably come in through your eyes too and there, but most of the time it comes through your airways. Comes into your airways. It gets trapped in your mucous membrane, right? Right away, we have some things called dendrites and macrophages. They are like little Pac-Man running around. They come and they hold on to that pathogen, that thing that is foreign. They hold on to it, right? They hold it down, and they try to break it apart, hold it there. And while they hold it there, signals go to another part of the immune system. And you have some of the white blood cells, right? Come, right? Some lymphocytes come, and they come and they kind of suck it into that antigen. And their role now is to copy that antigen and make antibodies for it, while it is stuck on the mucous membranes before it even reaches in your bloodstream or into your cells of your lung cells, right? Now, a very important thing is that viruses must get into your cells to survive, unlike bacteria. Bacteria can float around your body, around your cells, in your tissue, in fluids, in your blood, and they can survive on your glucose, right? Viruses need to get inside your cells to use your ATP, because they can't use just raw glucose. And they go inside your cells, right, where they use your ATP, and they use other mechanisms, and they multiply themselves. Then they destroy your cell, they blow up your cell, and a whole set of them run out now to do the same thing to other cells. So you really want to stop them early on, right? Early on, before they could even get any cells, and start doing that destruction, because that's how you get the fibrosis of the lungs and so forth. Yeah. So the modern medicine on this care system that we have, their premise is that we don't have an immune system. Okay? You come, well, take some antibiotics. This will go and kill whatever it is. Well, you know, antibiotics don't kill viruses, but anyway, that's what they mostly kill. Right? They do not work with our bodies. They do not work or pay any attention to our immune systems. We have immunity that can take care of us. That is why some people will just blow us off like nothing. Right? Now we are seeing is the old people, and it's not just the old people, it's the old people who are taking pharmaceutical medicines. Right? Right? It's Saturday morning, the health minister of France, he said, be careful. It seems that ibuprofen is involved in making this situation worse. Right? And I just found some stuff where there's a study in 2009, and they probably have many others, that show that all the anti-inflammatories, not just ibuprofen and Advil and these things, but all of them suppress our immune response, because inflammation is part of our immune response. And all these drugs that people are taking, old people are taking for their muscular aches and pains and what have you, are interfering with their immune response, so they are susceptible, right? Another drug, the ACE inhibitors that people use for both diabetes and cardiovascular disease, so blood pressure, they are also implicated, right? There's something to do with the something with the lungs, and it makes the coronavirus able to attach to the cells easier, because the ACE2 facilitates it. Then I saw something yesterday in one of my homeopathic books I was looking for, because the Prime Minister of India has came out and said that he's advising his population to use the homeopathic medicine arsenicum, right, as a prophylactic against the coronavirus. Well, the WHO and so forth, of course.
What is the name of that? What's the name of that?
Arsenicum. It's a homeopathic medicine. And
you're taking it as a prophylactic against?
As a prophylactic, yes. I did some things too when we had the chickpea and stuff. Worked wonderfully, right? And there was a town in India called Kerala, and they gave a prophylactic homeopathic to half the city, half the people. And of the half the people, only about 5% contracted the chikungunya, and the other half that didn't get any of this prophylactic homeopathic medicine, 75% of them came down with the chikungunya. So very effective homeopathic medicine. And if you do a search on the Spanish flu of 1918, you will see how effective homeopathic medicine was in the United States. Right? They show that only about 3 to 5% of people who were using homeopathic medicine in the United States succumbed and died. And the other people who were using the allopathic medicine, right, I think it was over 30% of them died. So a difference between under 5% and over 30% on the other hand, right? So, you know, homeopathic medicine is a thing by itself, right? Fantastic stuff. But we have things like elderberry, and elderberry is active against all the flu viruses. It disables them. We know that. We use it all the time. I've been using it for 30 years, right? So there are things that are known, but it is not embraced by the healthcare or the sick care system that we have, because the sick care systems that are run by governments that we pay taxes for, right, the governments are in bed with pharmaceutical companies, right, and they don't have any time to come and open up any doorways or embrace anything else, right? But there are things that work, and the things that can make people healthy, and the things that remove people's chronic diseases, and the things that fight all these things. You have me worked up, I can't go to sleep now.
Alicia.
This medicine that, well, what kind of treatments that you would recommend, the homeopathic treatments that you're talking about? This would involve what?
Well, I recommend homeopathic treatments. I am making prophylactics at my clinic as we speak. Every day I'm making it. It's selling out as fast as I make it. I am providing the herbal mucous membrane tonics and things to build the immune system. I'm also providing things for when you get it, because we're going to get it. We are going to get it. And when you get it, you want to have some stuff that you can use that's going to work. Because you understand what's going on? The next wave upon us is the vaccine, the mandatory vaccine, you know, where they're going to come and weaken mankind even more, right? Because that's the next thing for the pharmaceutical companies to come and sell the vaccines to the governments who are going to make it mandatory. Now, whether they know better or not, I don't know. Maybe they really don't know better and they're dumb, right? But if they need to open their eyes. People need to start thinking outside the box, that they're sitting there and just watching these 4 walls that they're watching all the time. They have lots of things you can do. I'm not afraid to get it. I want to get it right now and get it over with.
I think I'm gonna come by you tomorrow and get some more information firsthand on these things. You know what I mean? And see what I could come and get some.
On my Facebook page, the Natural Balance Facebook page, I have a list of things and my recommendations, what to do to prepare, what to put aside to have when you start to get the symptoms, how to take it, what to do. It's all there. Yeah. People come in and they think sending them back. I say, go back out, read the thing, call up the front desk, say what you want, come in, make a visit short. Because we have problems with people, too much people coming in the place too, right? So, you know, we have to change things as every day we're changing things and policies and, you know, taking a pencil or a toothpick to do the pad for the links machine and all kind of things. But, you know, you're still going to get it, all this thing, right? People not going to have money. People living week to week. What these poor people going to do when they don't have jobs to go to, right? What are they going to do? Right? They're going to have to come and where have food. If they have food in your house, they got to come in your house first, right? Because we have to keep commerce going, right? I can understand certain curve and yes and prepare, but prepare for what? Right? They come in on the way for a vaccine and all these things. It's not going to help.
So you think that we just buy in time?
We buy in time, yes, because really and truly we need to understand what's going on. It is the elderly and it is the drugs, right? It's the aspirin. So when I was looking at this Spanish flu in 1918, it was the aspirin. Now, aspirin was the only anti-inflammatory drug at the time, right? Whereas aspirin was the first patented medicine ever. And that is what they had to use for fevers and things. So, and that is what created the complications and the deaths in the Spanish flu. It accelerated it.
Philip,
yes.
your opinion, surprisingly, lines up with medical professionals and epidemiologists that at some point we are going to have to confront this thing head on. Somebody just posted in Stand Up TNT, a fellow called Daniel Ishmael, and he posted something that I'm going to read shortly to the viewers, but it's about Italy betting everything on this quarantine lockdown because nobody have a plan B.
No.
And I asked today, this is my concern. 10 more days from today, we would have been locked down for 14 days, which is the incubation period.
Right.
All the people who are now testing positive would have been in society, in touch with other people.
Yeah.
The 14 days that we are incubating now, those of us who were in touch with those people should succumb if this is as contagious as they say it is. Now, I am worried. I want to tell you something. Like everybody else, I am taking in all of the information. I talk to professionals like yourself. My brother is an epidemiologist. I talk to doctors. And then I go on social media and I see these videos of the people who point up, who suffering from coronavirus. I see, and they tell their story, and this is a frightening disease if your immune system is compromised.
Yeah.
But
so those are the persons that we have to help.
How do we help them? Should the isolation have been about people who have compromised immune systems? Today I went to a restaurant to buy a portion of fries. The guy behind the counter asked me, what should he be doing? He's out at work, but he's asthmatic. I say, you, this is a respiratory disease. If anybody should be hiding, it's you.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, because he got weak lungs already.
He already compromised in his lungs.
Yeah.
I don't think that we, and you see, I don't think that we have the right people on the front line of this. We have politicians talking this, and I think we're gonna move from politicians to law enforcement as we try to beat people into isolation to cure disease that may wait outside. How long do we isolate for? How long before we say, okay, this is not working? 14 days. If that doesn't work, 28 days. If that doesn't work, I see that they've created this law to shut the bars and the restaurants until July 31st. That is not sustainable. You cannot make people stay inside their house for 4 months.
Yeah, and all these airlines, this is not sustainable. Everything is going to
Forget about that. Forget about all the things that are going to collapse. I'm thinking about the 700,000 people in this country who were living day to day.
Day to day.
How long? What are we going to end up with? Line up for your food card? Line up for your voucher? Where are we going to reach? I don't know.
No, they line up outside our house trying to get
the real solution. No, but the real solution. Now, I want to ask you this because now people are changing the narrative, but they're not giving me facts to back it up. I just hear 40% of the people under 20 have coronavirus. But that is a statement. I'm not seeing the facts. The data that I am getting, if I go right now to a World Odometer, it will tell me the exact amount of people that have coronavirus, who've had coronavirus. So if I click on coronavirus, now at World Odometers, 245,630 people have had coronavirus. 10,000 people have died, 88,000 people have recovered. Those numbers, those are the actual statistics. Now, I'm not saying that this is not a scary death, but Somebody said to me yesterday and it woke me up. He said to me, one person died in America today from coronavirus and it is big news. But 100 people died today in America from the flu and that's not the news.
Serious? 100 people died from the normal flu?
Every day.
Every day?
Between 100 and 200.
Yeah.
So I went and looked on the Center for Disease Control numbers. And the common everyday flu
kills more people.
That is in tens of thousands.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, even doctors are saying that a lot of the information that is in the public space is incorrect. This is a highly contagious thing, but
This is more contagious, right?
okay, but if it is, right, and I want to ask that question, but this 245,630 cases, this includes Wuhan and Italy and all of Spain, Iran.
It's the entire world, right?
Right.
Yeah, but remember, it's only spreading for 2.5 months, right? Where the flu around a while, so the flu just recirculating, and that's why you have the more numbers.
No, but no. Actually, the opposite of what you just said is a fact.
Tell me.
Because if this is the most contagious virus we've ever known, this 245,630 people, this includes numbers when we knew practically nothing about COVID-19. So people were sick and they were out and about. This guy, the cyclist, he went to a cycling meet. So in that cycling, he was bouncing and shaking hands and hugging up people and whatever he's doing at a cycling meet. If this is the most contagious virus ever, in this 14 days here, we're supposed to see, because we've had 9 people that are contagious, that are infected.
Well, that were tested positive.
That were tested positive. So we don't know the real number of the people who have it, but the system just managed it, right?
Yeah, and that is scary.
No, because of this, Philip. These are raw numbers. 245,630 people have had it when we didn't know about it, when it was now becoming something scary. But it was supposed, at that time, how come these numbers is not millions? In the months that this is named COVID-19, so this out there since 2019, how come 88,000 people recovered? There were 147,145 active cases, 98,485 cases which had an outcome. That includes the deaths and the recovered. But we are now in a situation where they're ramping up the production of ventilators. Again, this is called COVID. This is called COVID 2019, right? And I just want to say this. In 1943 and 1944, here we are going. The United States of America was able to build entire battleships one a day.
What?
Planes were coming off an assembly line 1 an hour. 1 an hour.
People wasn't on Facebook.
People wasn't spending their time on Facebook. No, but that was 1945, and we living in a time now where you could 3D print parts. The entire ventilators are plastic machine with, I guess, some metal internals. And you need to train people. I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but I'm saying.
But again, Philip.
Oh, I'm saying, I just want to finish this point.
Yeah, sorry.
Because they say that a lot of the people who died in Italy is because Italy didn't have enough ventilators, and this is what scared the whole world. That doctors were making judgment calls of who had to live and who had to die because of the availability of ventilators to manage them. This guy that we just watched that video on here, when he tell you at the start of it, his lungs was glass and he was drowning, but he's okay now, and he came out on the other side. He could scar your lungs. SARS left holes in people's lungs. These are not easy diseases. Nobody's minimizing.
We can't blame not having ventilators, you know. It's like you build a bad ship, right? And the ship is going to sink. You there?
I listen to you.
You build a bad ship and the ship is going to sink. And you didn't have enough life vests. So you blame the life vest, but the ship was built badly.
Indeed.
You understand?
Indeed, yes I do. But my whole point is this.
I think I got your point. Why not make more ventilators? I mean, like you said,
If it could take people from the critical stage. So I watched a video today. There is mild, serious, severe, critical. You get a critical, you on ventilator. Severe, you on ventilator. From the time you have shortness of breath and need oxygen, the ventilators is what, while the virus works through your system, it attacks your lungs. And ventilators help you breathe. Ventilators' job is to get oxygen into your blood. Yes, Philip?
Yeah, something like that.
The oxygenation of your blood. No, but I really doing a lot of research, and I'm asking this again because we need to humanize how we fight in this battle. I think that we've taken humanity out of it. We've told people self-isolate, and we've spread sunflowers and rainbows, so people are singing through their windows at each other. All that is great, but if we do not confront this, we can't hide from a virus. The common,
it's coming.
You can't hide from it.
Yeah.
So shouldn't we be saying, let us focus on creating facilities for those that are sick? Let us make sure that we isolate. My parents, I have not seen my parents for a week. Let us see, and if you all know me, I go by my parents every day. Let us see if we could isolate the elders and those at risk and bring the deaths down to zero. If we bring the deaths down to zero, we don't have to destroy the economy to do it.
You know, and people just go on other types of anti-inflammatories they have, right? And
no, but Philip, they're telling them this nonsense. This is the narrative. If you go outside, you will get it on you, or you might get it and take it home to them. Yeah. But if I am isolating me now and isolating them now, I could isolate them. Britain was doing that, and Britain was on top of it, but Italy's spike frightened Boris Johnson. And because of when Italy put out their numbers, Boris Johnson backpedaled. But I am concerned that after this coronavirus, whenever it ends, the name of the show is the new normal. What will we have left in this world?
Yeah. That is like Anthony said, $1 million question, and that's one thing
the cruise industry. You got.
No, exactly that, and that's one thing I was trying to understand that, and I don't know if it's because it's new, and you know things that are new, it's misunderstood, and it's people are afraid of it. But I didn't understand.
To death of it.
What's that?
I am scared to death of it.
But what I don't understand.
And they've done a good job of frightening the crap out of me.
But what I don't understand is how did a virus that you say kills less people than the average cold, how did that translate to literal world economies crashing? Places like Macy's
because
going
of
out
the
of
speed.
business.
Because of the speed, but it telegraphed, and I don't get that. I don't get that it telegraphed, and then because Italy had a massive aged population, they were greater at risk, so that they succumbed. But even so, of the 30,000 cases they had 1,800 deaths. That's a lot of people to die. One death is bad, but as a percentage of that entire at-risk group, that should not be enough numbers to destroy the entire world economy.
Very true. But I think the media of the world had a big part to play with that and creating the level of panic. I mean, it's a matter of dispensing certain pieces of information in a certain way. But again, the way the information is coming to the public is putting people in hysteria. Everybody is panicking, and you know, is why we are where we are right now.
Brother, I watched a video from Science Insider, called "This is what having the novel coronavirus looks like day by day." And if you watch that, you will wrap yourself in cling wrap and stay home for the next 14 days. But no, serious, it's scary. But 14 days, and we've committed to isolate for 14 days, and we picked 14 days, and we were the strongest proponents of this when we were operating with the information that we had. So let's continue. Let's tell everybody, stay home, keep your businesses closed. We could do 14 days. 14 days is the incubation period. No, but what I want to see at the end of the 14 days, Philip, is what the numbers of new cases at the end of the 14 days, because all of those people.
Suppose we have none. We have no new numbers, right? So we have no new numbers. What we do?
I think
we operate as normal and we keep the borders closed.
I think that we keep the borders closed until every country get themselves. Look, Botswana have 0 cases. Colombia have 2. I don't know how much Russia has, and you have to contrast and compare it. I asked these questions today. Why haven't steps been taken to test all who were exposed at the cycle meet where the national cyclists who tested positive took part? Why are we not testing the families and the neighbors of those who have tested positive? Why is it so impossible for persons with symptoms to get tested if they have not traveled but could have been exposed to someone who did? Our first case, according to any contagion story or movie, would have been case 1, who would have infected everyone along the way. Why none? Why did none of the children from Maria Regina take COVID-19 back to their parents after they were repeatedly exposed? Why haven't any of the teachers contracted it if it is as virulent and highly contagious as we are told? Every parent knows a children's school environment is the #1 place for the transmission of the flu from child to child and then back home. Why none? Why, instead of taking steps to import ventilators to treat those who might get it, we use both of our press conference to isolate people and deal with money? Why can't people meet in groups of 10? Is there a protocol where this virus only affects people in numbers greater than 10? Why are politicians leading this conversation and not medical professionals?
Good questions.
This $2.75 billion we just put into the economy, this shouldn't be about the repo rate and liquidity. If you're spending this money, spend this money on the ground. Spend this money on what Philip Franco referred to as the day-to-day people. This is they need the help.
Very correct. Very correct. No, but we needed to have what is it? National pride, $500 million for the Red House.
I don't even say that anymore. Right now we deal with coronavirus. That money gone. 98 million for the 89 million for the president's house, 17 million for a cottage. You think people thinking about that right now? They're telling you, forget all of that, forget the politics, but they come together and fight coronavirus. Like that is what we're doing. We're not doing that. We're hiding from coronavirus, and I understand that. Because like everybody watching this show, and everybody, whether you love me or hate me, talk good or talk bad, I am scared to death because they've done a great job scaring all of us.
Yeah.
I am scared, but then I go on world odometers and I see that the death rate is less than 4%, and that includes the madness that went on in Italy, Spain, Iran, and Wuhan, China. So if that includes those which were the spike of the thing, in other words, if we didn't have Wuhan, Italy, Spain, and Iran, if we didn't have those, it wouldn't be massive. It wouldn't.
Yeah, less than 1%, I'm sure.
And I just want, you see, this is data. Franco, guide me. This is data. These are facts.
No, I'm not a statistician.
No, but it's still data.
I know.
Yeah? It's still numbers. And numbers, somebody say numbers don't lie.
Very true.
I remember before it became a pandemic, actually it was Carnival Monday, the World Health Organization, they hadn't declared it a pandemic yet. I remember reading an article, I think it was a CNN article, where a doctor was saying, a medical practitioner was saying that it is going to travel the world, that no matter what we do, how we try to prevent it, that the virus was going to travel the world and it's going to spike, and then just like most diseases, it's going to die down and it's going to phase out. And that the panic that people are experiencing is mostly because it's new and it's misunderstood. And that exactly what those statistics are saying, the percentage of people who are going to actually die from it are going to be very low. And I mean, it's not the first time I've heard this. Since then, I've heard other people say that, you know, it because of the, you know, because it's so contagious that it is going to spread and that, you know, we are going to recover. But despite seeing all of this and reading all of this, and I mean, these are legitimate people saying this and you know, sharing this information, despite that, I still see, you know, exactly what you say, that people are so scared. They are, I mean, we have this for the show, but this is what you experience.
But H1N1 killed 40 people in Trinidad. Why we didn't shut the country down?
40 people, how, in what time period?
In 2019.
Oh, yeah, per year.
H1N1.
How come we didn't shut down the country for Ebola?
Ebola, chikungunya, SARS.
People have to be scared because, you know, they're telling you, don't come to the health center. If you're feeling sick, don't come. Right? Call.
Again, that.
People sick, they call up, they say, no, well, don't come, we're not testing you because you're not sounding too sick yet.
Franco, when I tell you, if it's a pandemic, you would want to test everybody who show any kind of symptoms.
Yeah, you know, they're telling people now, well, you don't sound too sick until you get what's called us back.
And this is where I am concerned about them politicizing it, because not testing everybody means you can't say that it came from Carnival.
Are we eyeballing this disease over the phone?
Didn't we eyeball it?
We eyeball
everything.
We eyeball
the
in the airports. Remember, we had that thermometer to test, but if you were asymptomatic, you could have had the disease and still carried it.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing that people missing. That prior to our lockdown, there was 14 days before. I asked Satish for a whiteboard and a marker. I wanted to be able to draw a 0 that says, this is day 1 of our lockdown, sanitize the nation. Going forward with an arrow to the number 14. In these 14 days, we are supposed to get no new infections from that 14-day mark go forward. But the incubation period is 14 days. And it's going to draw a blue line going backwards 14 days. Because all the people who are now locked down and sanitized weren't for these 14 days. When all of these people who have it have been moving through society normal.
And not just that.
So and we have 10 more days.
Yeah, and not just that, you're home with people now in close proximity.
And you don't know.
And you Exactly, and you don't know. You locked down basically.
Didn't go and meet somebody who tested positive test.
But I never get.
They said it was a rumor. I didn't get to confirm that or not. But with that, you locked down in a house with somebody for 14 days who may or may not be showing symptoms. There's some people now saying that they think they have a cold, but you're not sure. I mean, you could really just have a cold, but what if you're spreading it in your own house?
We just got some information. I need to break into that. Well, I'll tell you.
On the press conference that the press conference they had 2 days ago. 2 days, yeah, it's like, it's like a week ago. It was 2 days ago. They're telling people, isolate yourself, self-quarantine yourselves, but they didn't tell you what to do with yourself or the family member you're taking care of. They didn't say, well, put them to lie or put them to stand up, or put them outside, or put them in a bed, or cover them, or give them Panadol, or don't give them Panadol. When one reporter asked, he asked the question, you isolate, you quarantine, what is your recommendation for the people who are isolating themselves? Oh, well, after 14 days you can come out. They did not answer the question, and they still haven't told people how to take care of themselves when they're in isolation and quarantine. What to take, what to eat, what not to eat, what not to take, what not to take. They haven't spoken to this yet. Can you believe that? You know that? Examine it.
No, but listen. The reality of this situation is becoming difficult to face. We have this very scary disease that will hurt you if you're compromised. But when everybody was exposed, it didn't give us a million. Didn't give us a million people infected. I don't understand that. I don't understand if we're being fair to the nation. I don't understand what's going on in the whole world. Colombia has massive deaths right now from dengue fever. And the people who are on the front line of dengue fever are complaining that they're not getting the help and they're not getting the support they need to battle the dengue fever that is actually killing people, because COVID-19 and coronavirus is the top story.
Yeah.
And Trump have withdrawals because nobody ain't taking him on.
It crowding the conversation. It crowding out the conversation. The whole world is focused on this. But at some point, and Trinidad, we could be as myopic and insular and defer our critical thinking and let the people in charge lead us, but the rest of the world not stupid. So the people in England are going to hold Boris Johnson to account, and he knows that. They are already talking from the position of, this happened on your watch. Don't tell me. You think the Americans going to give Trump a pass because other countries have this? They only care about America and Americans. And rightly so when it comes to things like this. You are the president. Keith Rowley is the prime minister.
No, Canada is doing the same thing. They just said that they're going to put their resources to their people. They're not going to put any focus on
Justin Trudeau's video today. If Canada wasn't so cold, I migrate tomorrow. After watching that video, you saw what I want about him.
But
what they said to their people. They said even the homeless, people fleeing domestic violence, we've put things in place for you all.
But even with that, Canadians are still holding him accountable and giving him a hard time.
Absolutely.
So
but Trini's telling me, don't ask no questions. All of us pull together right now because we have to fight coronavirus. I want to ask them, how are we fighting it? Self-isolate, flatten the curve. I asked a couple of people, do you know what flatten the curve means? No, but we flatten the curve. So I'll explain to you what flatten the curve means. There is a line. Infections and the ability to provide medical care for those infected. And at a point on that, beyond which you can't take care of people. So the idea is, if we prevent people from having to go to public health, we flatten the curve. That's cool. That's good. And we will finish this 14 days with vigor. I am calling on Trinidadians and Tobagonians to stand firm and isolate yourself. Practice meditation. Spend time with the family. Learn to wash inside your nose.
You see, people are apprehensive because they don't know what's going to happen next. Because nobody knows and there's no plan, right? Because after the 14 days, then what? You have it outside still, you're opening up your borders, you're not
Mr. Franco, we will wait until the end of the 14 days. And then I will ask, because this is the incubation period. And then I will ask, what did we learn? Because 14 days prior, and this 14 days that we have been locked down, is 28 days that we've been exposed to this. Because all those people who are in hospital now had it in society for the 14 days that they were not showing symptoms.
Right.
So we've been exposed and we've had it for 28 days. These are our numbers and it doesn't add up to the response, but I will wait. Because we've written a law to take away business owners' rights to own their bar and their restaurant. And we're doing it out of sheer panic. I am not saying that this is not a dangerous disease. I wish we could spend the effort walking around our yard tonight looking for flower pots that hold in water and old tire that breed in mosquito and giving people dengue and other mosquito-borne diseases. Or the people who own land that not near where they live in, so it overgrown with bush and have all kind of thing living there, distressing the neighbors. I wish we could put our efforts into everything the way we decided that we're going to focus the entire mindset on this. Mr. Franco, it was enjoyable having you. Tony, Felicia, anything you'd like to ask? Any you'd like to say in closing, Philip?
Well, I just think that, this is a time of revelation, and we're going to have to learn something from this, and I hope that we learn that we need to embrace natural medicine, both people and the governments, because it has certainly a lot to offer. And, Mao Zedong in China, in the 1950s, 60s, he had a healthcare crisis on his hands. And the one good thing I think he ever did, he merged the two. So every doctor in China, when they study medicine, they study Western medicine and traditional Chinese
I read that.
at the same time.
I absolutely read that. Philip, if you want to give people a quick piece of advice, what to take, what to do to protect themselves, the prophylactics you was talking about. I mean, we know things like vitamin C and things. Is that important?
Vitamin C and zinc, yes. Both syrup, that is very helpful.
Vitamin C and zinc?
The main strong thing, you need to get elderberry and echinacea. So when you get it, you can take elderberry and echinacea. The first time you get it, because that will kill it. Certain.
I'm coming by you tomorrow. Thanks a lot, Philip.
Okay. Night. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Tony.
Bye, Philip.
How are you on, Phil?
Noel Elias wrote, as a senior citizen, 67 years old, I made a decision to wait for 2 weeks to pay my electricity bill. I was cut this morning. Thank you, TNTech, for the part you are playing in this crisis situation. Now tell me, all the we stunting, press conference after press conference, you couldn't tell TNTech, don't cut nobody for the next 14 days? That is a memo. That is a broadcast on a WhatsApp. That is a call to the man in charge. You write a law to shut down everybody bar. Write a law to be mobile and digital. We spend smart with stupidness in this country. And we pretend that this is leadership. It's not. We were supposed to close this nation's borders since January. All the imported, you're talking imported. We would not have imported if the airport was closed. Closing comments.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Trinidad and Tobago. All I can say is, follow what rules have been given to you as far as keeping yourself clean, sanitized, and quarantined, you and your family. Stock up on your vitamin C's and eat properly and all that good stuff, and take lots of water. And again, just try to minimize on how much interaction you have with the outside world right now. Again, just be safe. Be safe, Trinidad. We are here. We are trying to get as much information on our end to try to dispense to you as well from our take and what we have in our possession as far as information is concerned. So do stay tuned and, keep it locked. Save TNT. Vote PEP.
Well, my closing comments are actually based on that ridiculous status that you just read there, Philip. I mean, for all the people who say don't politicize this, it's not about politicizing it. It is this. Everything about this is politics. The government's response, their non-response, their failure to postpone Carnival, all of that. And no, yes, the horse already ran out of the stable, but you have to talk about it. So should there ever be another pandemic like this, because this came out of nowhere, should there ever be a future pandemic, that we know how to deal with it, that we address all of the issues, all of the missteps that we made in the past to correct it for the future. I mean, just a simple thing as asking TNTech not to disconnect people. I mean, it's
that is
common
criminal.
sense.
That is criminal.
It's criminal, and it is basic common sense. You can't be talking, injecting money into the economy and all of this and overlooking critical things like water, light, food for people. So again, we're not gaining any political points over this. We're not losing any. We're not trying to use this to get into office, but we are trying to educate the nation, and by extension hope that the government of the day can take some of these ideas and put them in to work for the people of the nation.
That's what leadership is for. That's what she's saying. That's what leadership, that's the job. You took the job. Nobody sent a call. You came, you audition. You said if we hired you as Prime Minister, that should be able to do the job. We told you, form a government, create a cabinet, lead the country. What have you done? What have you done? It irks me that we are talking about let's all pull together. Yes, let's all pull together, but the us does not include the government. The government, your work is to fix it. That's your job. I'm not giving you a pass. Your job is to foresee everything. And I explain to people what modeling means. You're supposed to be modeling what's going on with the economy right now. How do we get it back on track? That's $2.75 billion mistimed. That's not for now. That's for when we're behind it. Let all those who have big assets and big collateral finance through the banks. Banks making a lot of money in this country. Billions of dollars. If you're going to talk, all of us together, how come it always only feels like the people with the least to give always have the most to sacrifice? Why aren't those at the very top, the Sabga group of companies, the Massey group of companies, the B-Mobile, the Digicel, all of the companies, Scotia, RBC, Republic Bank, First Citizens, you're making billions, Sagicor, Guardian Life. Why aren't these people pressed into service now? Courts do not repossess for 3 months. Put it out. Standards, American stores, fens if only given credit. Step up. Step up. The pharmaceutical importers, slash your profits. Make it available. The people of this country, that mass on the bottom, that's your bottom line. That's who pays your bills. That's who upholds the entire economy. And if we're really serious about all of us in this together, then let it make us feel it now. Show us that you understand what that means. Because a government is waiting in the wings. The Progressive Empowerment Party exists to marshal all the good people that we bring to the people through these videos, through these interviews. We are willing and ready and able to create an environment in Trinidad and Tobago where every creed and race could demand their equal space. It is time we had a better country. So for all of you who are telling me let's pull together, yes, of course, let's pull together as one people under one flag, but hold the government to account. All of you telling me that this is just flatten the curve, absolutely. Let's destroy the curve. Let's lock it down. Don't come out your house at all for the next 10 days. But at the end of this 14 days, let's ask the questions that we need to ask. We cannot continue to bury our heads in the sand and live a life played 3 blind mice when we left the blasted airports open for carnival. If we had shut it down since January, all of these people that you say that you imported, you would not have imported. We would have had 0 cases. Tell me, where do we go from here? How much more nonsense do we pre-package, repackage, and send it back out there as fact? It is time for a better country. And you're not getting that if you continue to make excuses for mismanagement at government level. It is time Trinbagonians took control of the country again by demanding better service from those who are paid taxpayers' funds to work. Until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.